What is this great L&D reset that is happening in the background right now? Over to you, Pranjali.
Thank you, Pranita. I'm just going to pull up my screen, Lekha, if you don't mind, so we have something to look at as we speak. Okay, so Pranita, you've done a great job, just explaining this retail landscape and how it has been changing. One thing, and this is something people have been mentioning in the chat, and Weber has been saying that aloud too, that it's not just what we shop for, it's how we shop and how we perceive shopping that has changed. And it's not just retail that has changed in the last couple of years, it's the whole 9 yards. And as Pranita said, it's learning and development too. So I want to start with a place which begins with self-awareness. I oftentimes think that when you have that self-awareness and understanding of where you are, who you are, you're able to map everything better. So I want to do this activity with you, and I request all of you to participate. Using the raise and hand feature on Teams, I just want you to raise your hands and tell me which of the two slides that I'm going to pull up now resonate the most with you. Here comes slide number 1. As you can see, I've called it Exhibit 1, and there are a couple of logos and images, everything from Orkut, the first social platform that was out there. There is a landline phone. We also have MSN Messenger. There is Doordarshan logo. So if you can just quickly raise your hands and let me know. I'm sorry, I'm not able to see your hands. So I'm quickly going to go and see how many people are raising their hands. Okay, lovely. Okay, I can see quite a few raises there. And here I'm going to share my slide again. And let me know once you see slide number 2. This is exhibit 2. And again, we have some images and logos, everything from TikTok to WhatsApp, Google, iPhone, Netflix. There is someone taking a selfie too. And how many people resonate with this slide? Okay, there's some people resonate with this slide. And let me tell you why we are doing what we are doing, right? Now, everyone who raised their hand for exhibit 1, I have to break this news to you guys. You are old. Okay, don't get too caught up with this definition and the classification old. By that classification, I am officially old too because I resonate more with exhibit 1 slide. But essentially, what this means is that you are a digital immigrant. And let's define digital immigrants so we understand ourselves better. So we are people who have grown up in a day and age where technology was very limited. So perhaps that landline phone that you saw in the picture, that was the extent of technology you had. And you have had to adopt to technology, and meaning that you had your first mobile phone maybe well into your post graduation, or even for some of you, even during your first years at office. That's when you had your first experience of technology. On the other hand, if you associated yourself as a digital native, or the second slide, you're a digital native, which by definition means that you have grown up in a digital age, meaning that you've had mobile phones, tablets, you've lived in the social media environment, you've played on game consoles since a very, very young age. So all of the terms that you hear about, millennials, Gen Z, Generation Alpha, these are all that fit into the digital native bucket. Now, as you can see, there is a clear divide between the digital natives and digital immigrants. So people that raise their hands on slide number 1, the exhibit 1, you're looking at column 2. And as you can see, this tells you what your learning preferences are. So things like you like to have text as content, or you need information presented in a logical sequential fashion, or you trust only a couple of sources for getting that information. All of these speak into what a digital immigrant is. On the other hand, digital natives, we are looking at the first column. And as you can see, you are more multimedia savvy, meaning that you prefer video, you prefer images to content, and you like learning that is instantaneous, it's fun, and it's relevant to your job. So as you can see, these differences tell us more about ourselves. But while we're looking at these differences, it's equally important for us to understand that there is a common expectation between both digital natives and digital immigrants. And that common expectation is that of continuously skilling and learning and keeping ourselves abreast of all the changes. Now, as Pranita outlined in her section earlier, it's not just the world of retail that has undergone a sea change, it is the entire world of work as we know it. The global pandemic, so COVID-19, it ensured that we all had to transform digitally, while we liked it or not. Also, the overall evolving technology, the ubiquitousness of it, meaning that it's ever present everywhere in our lives. How we like to consume information, entertainment, how we like to buy stuff, things that we spoke about earlier. everything is changing, leading to more evolving consumer behaviors and preferences. And everything that is enabling this is more because of the penetration of internet, which is present in almost all homes in all corners of our society. So overall, just in the past 1 year itself, we have undergone this massive digital disruption. Okay, and I just want to stop sharing my screen, keep my video on. Right. So today, guys, we are working in what is referred to as a hybrid workplace. Now, a hybrid workplace is essentially a mix where you have remote workers, people, and most of you who are watching this from home, you're the remote workers, someone who's on site and and going to work every day, also the on-floor employees. So it's a mix of all of these gig economy, and everything is now the hybrid workplace as we refer to it. Now, let's put this into perspective, because after years of reporting to your office, after meeting your colleagues in person, after having the meetings in flesh and blood with your colleagues and with your managers, we are now expected to do everything from a very virtual setup. It feels very unphysical, it feels very distant, and that is what was expected of us in just a year's time. And not just that, we also had to face multiple unfamiliar work situations with regards to communicating or collaborating, even decision making and learning. So, speaking of learning, do you remember how you used to learn earlier? I'm sure for most of us, it was sitting in a classroom, having the trainer in front of you, having a 2 hour workshop or whatever it looked like, but having that in a very physical kind of a space. Unfortunately, or for good, this has changed radically for us. The experience itself has gone through a major, major overhaul. I don't know, do we have any parents of school going kids here? I am one, so I'm going to raise my hand. Yeah. So, okay. I think we should ask our kids, because when we talk of learning, it's important to look at what our children have been through. I can see so many people raising their hands. Yes, guys. And if you can quickly just type in the chat and tell me, was that experience good or was it difficult to adjust to? You can say yes if it was good and a bit tricky to adjust to if it wasn't. Just put that in the chat. We will see how it has been, not just for us, but also for different generations. Now, I'll tell you my story. My kid was 7 years old, and for him, the academic year, when it started in June of last year, for the first couple of weeks, yes, Alankar is saying it's not easy. At least it wasn't easy. I think kids like it now, but it definitely was a bit tricky to start off with. It is tricky. Yes, Madhur, I absolutely agree. Right? So initially, my kid, he took a while to understand why we're not asking him to report or go to school, why he's not able to meet his friends, why we're asking him to sit in his room and just log in. Yes, forum, it is now habitual. Yes, and that's the beauty of it, guys. And thank you for saying this out loud. It is habitual. Right? So something that started as a completely alien or a foreign practice for us is now a habit. This is the most important part. And again, I'm going to quickly share my slide, but before that, I want to share a secret with you with I think no one shared. And that secret is that change itself is very difficult, right? We were just pushed into it expecting that we will adapt and change with it overnight. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen so. And do you want to know why? It's because of our brain. Now, you see, guys, our brain is an amazing, amazing organ, and it knows just one thing. It keeps us very safe. And the way it does that is by helping us stay in something that we know as familiar or is comfortable to us. So anything outside of that, anything outside of our habit loops, going back to the point you said, Forum, anything out of the habit or routine, it identifies as a red flag. So it will try to keep you in that bucket of safe. Which is why, if you're a person who's not been an early riser, you will find it very easy to snooze that alarm clock in the morning because your brain is telling you, that's not what you do. Or let's say you're not much into exercising, you find it very easy to ditch the gym because, again, your brain is tricking you into saying that that's not what you do always. Or you reach out for that additional piece of cake or pie or samosa, as the picture says, you do all of that, right? But we need to understand it's just our brain trying to keep us safe and in the comfortable as we know it, which is also why, guys, we need to now, in context of what we're speaking, learning and development, which is also why when everything around us turned digital, we still had a hard time adjusting to digital learning because our brain told us every single time there was a request for a webinar that came in or virtual learning that came in or you had an e-learning course assigned and you were not used to that. Your brain was just telling you, don't do that, you're not used to doing it, right? I just want to quickly pull up this concept, and it's a concept that is very commonly used in spirituality. It's called the dark night of the soul. Now, dark night of the soul is an indicative period that is typically very painful, and it's like a dip that happens before you reach enlightenment. Now, there is nothing very dark or frightening about skilling or development, and I find it very deep into the change journey that we're talking about. Someone has their microphone on. Can you please switch that off? Thank you so much. I can still hear someone. I'm so sorry, guys. It's just a bit disturbing for me.
Yeah, I'll have to move. I'll have to move everyone. Sorry.
Yes, thank you so much. No problem.
Yeah. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I think I was also
Yeah.
muted. No
Yeah.
problem. Right. So, which is why I was saying that dark night of the soul is a term in spirituality, and I find it extremely befitting to what we are speaking. But getting it back to the context of LND, I find this representation of the comfort zone very useful, right? And what it helps us understand is two things: one, where we are currently, and second, where we need to go. Unfortunately, for the most of us, we stay in the red zone, which is the first zone that you see on the left for the most part of our lives. Going back to the brain theory that I told you, it's because our brain is just trying to keep us safe and in control. But I'm sure if you have any people in your life that you look up to, some people in business, sports, academia, or celebrities, most of them will always fall in the green zone that we're looking at, meaning that these are the people who have chosen and who have overcome their fear, who have acquired new skills, and who have actually gone on to live their dreams, right? And it's just a big change that we have to go through. So now that we have understood how your mind works and what you need to do to push past that friction to get into the growth zone, the only question that needs answering is how do you reset yourself really? And the one question I would suggest that you ask is how do you get from the red zone to the yellow zone? Because here's the thing, guys: once you get into the yellow zone, the green zone just gets easier. So the single line answer would be to take ownership of your learning and growth, meaning that you have to be in the driver's seat of your own learning journey. And guys, it's not just the new skills that you develop, it's also the overall enriched life that you get as a part and parcel, which is a byproduct of the skill acquirement that happens. Now, one step in that direction of taking ownership is through digital learning. And don't get too scared with the term digital in it. You know, there's so much digital that we are listening to since the past 1 year that it's easy to get turned off by the very concept of digital. But I'm sure for most of you, and I'm sure that's true for me also, in the last 1 year, while you were conscious of it or not, you have actually digitally transformed, right from buying groceries, I'm sure, to medicine, to anything and everything that did not require you to step out of the house, you did it digitally. And while it may have seemed a bit challenging to start off with, you know, I asked many people how it felt like when the schools went virtual. It was the same for us. It was very difficult to order groceries online because for most of us, we like to, you know, pick up our groceries. You like to select the best tomatoes of the lot and all of the drama that we do. But nonetheless, it was tricky. But over time, you have gotten used to it. The term that Forum used, we got habituated to it. So my suggestion is that before you dismiss digital learning as something that does not fit into your construct of what learning looks like, give it a try. You know, I have this food rule in our house, and my kid, I told you, is 7 years old now. But when he was younger, he was a bit fussy about what he wanted to eat and did not want to eat. So one rule that I always implemented when something new was served on his plate is that he could not declare it as I don't like it or it's yucky before he tasted it. And not just tasted it once, guys. I had him eat that at least 3 different times because you see, habit and every taste takes cultivation. So if you give it enough number of instances, your brain will form a habit loop, making it very easy for you to switch to a new behavior. And with that, I'm just going to pull up a slide that summarizes why you need to go digital in case you need more validation to doing it. Everything on the slide is very self-explanatory. I don't think I need to go into each of the points. So I'm just going to leave this for a bit. And Pranita, I'm going to invite you to talk about the skills that we all need to have in our arsenal for 2021 and beyond.
Sure, Pranjali. Thank you very much. Hope my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, Pranita, we are good.
Great, fantastic. So yes, Pranjali, in continuation to what you just said, skills needed to adopt digital mindset in the new normal. What are those skills? And I'll not only tell what are those skills, but I'll also share how can you develop those skills sitting exactly where you are at your home. Let's take a look. These are the top 10 skills that you will need in your arsenal. These are your ammo for 2021 and beyond to foolproof your career. Because the never ending hunt for the talent is going to get all the more aggressive in coming years. For a simple reason, now the means to get to acquire learning and to get skilled are becoming more easier. Why? Because we've gone digital. So these are the top 10 skills. The first most skill that you're seeing right now is digital or remote customer success excellence for obvious reasons. The the skill that comes in the second place is customer service, is problem solving and initiative. The third is social media smarts. The fourth is design and merchandising talent. The fifth, resilience. Sixth, comfort with ambiguity. Seven is the explorer mind. Eight is collaborative approach. Nine, time management. And 10, taking onus of your learning. Let's take a closer look at the first skill, digital or remote customer success excellence. Now, I would like to again pose a question to the audience who's listening right now, to everybody. What exactly digital customer service means to them? Very quickly, if you can chat, if you can type your answers in the chat window. How do you envision digital customer service today? Yes, anybody? Great, fantastic. I don't think people are right now keen to share their opinion as yet. Let me share mine.
We have got one answer. It's connecting through digital.
Oh,
Connecting
yes.
through digital. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, connecting through digital. So that brings me to my first point, shift towards a self service dominant customer service. What do we mean by that? How has customer gone digital? It has become more self reliant for a simple reason. When we were talking about the physical customer service, the consumers were more reliant on how you would assist them, what kind of assistance would you provide them, how you would treat them, you would help them pick and choose maybe, you would help them in their decisions in a certain way. Going virtual, a lot has changed, and the customer is as good as using a self-service even if he steps into your stores on an online portal or on an online app. So this huge shift towards a self-service dominant customer service brings me to my point, that how do we abreast, like I said, I'll not just share the skills, I'll tell you how do we make ourselves abreast with this trend, making use of the personalized experience. And why am I saying that? I want to introduce you to this concept called AI fatigue. What do you mean by AI fatigue? It's simply the digression, it's simply the fatigue that is caused because of too much of navigation. It could be navigating through screens, it could be navigating through too many websites, it could be navigating through internet, it could be just browsing net. The AI fatigue simply means at some point your consumer is hungry for that human touch. This is where we can bridge the gap when it comes to the modern day customer service by personalizing the experience. And that is why my third point, an opportunity. Digital, we all are seeing it as a challenge these days, but what we say that it is an opportunity rather to read your customer better. Today, we have databases of customer and you can actually peep into their lives. They have their Instagram accounts, they have their Facebook accounts. You can actually know where was the last vacation that your a particular customer has had gone to probably. What was the last photo which had received most likes of a particular customer? And you can read a lot about psychography of your consumers with this kind of information, and which will help you personalize your experience. Sitting at your home, how can you do that? Simple. We all have Facebook, we all have Instagram. Let's make use of these tools to understand what's happening around the world and link it to your customers. Can we do that? Consumers are usually bifurcated into age groups. Just like Pranjali explained, there are millennials. Millennials will have common qualities. So if I find it's a millennial that I'm catering to, I can definitely try and see how does a Facebook account or an Instagram account or probably a Snapchat of a millennium looks like, what are the preferences and what is the language that I need to talk to when I'm talking with a millennial. Is it a baby boomer that I'm talking to? What kind of information do I need to share? And that is the reason why we are saying that digital customers success is an opportunity for us to read our customers like Bible today, if we use it well. The next skill that we can always, rather, when I talk about this skill problem solving initiative, we say we were born with it. We were born with it, especially as Indians. You know why the world knows us as jugadus? Have you heard this word, jugadu? I'm using a Hindi word. It's a very fun word. But yes, we were born as jugadus. You know what a jugadu is? A jugadu is a problem solver, right? We have an answer to every question. We find a solution to every question. If you go back to your personal life, forget about your professional life. If you go back to your personal life, in your early teenagers, if you know negotiating with your mother for a particular thing would be difficult, you would go to your father. You know, if you're going for an outing, you're definitely not going to talk to your fathers, but the conversation has to be routed through your mothers. This is nothing but problem solving. I'm thinking about what the problem is, I'm thinking about what the solution is, I'm thinking about how to bridge the gap between the problem and solution. This, my friends, is problem solving. And that is why problem solver is a mark of an independent employee, especially in the light of the pandemic that arrived. Because today we are working at our home sitting in silos. We are not able to communicate and take peer knowledge, something that we used to have in our physical offices, right? When we used to have a team which used to sit physically together. So now when I'm doing my work, I'm working independently on it. So if I'm a problem solver here, it is a mark of an independent employee and also a confident individual. What are the steps that I need to do to be a problem solver? I need to develop my analytical skills and my creative thinking. Analytical skills, simple. The example that I gave you. The problem is I want to go to an outing as a teenager. I know the answer is no. I know we are trying to go to Goa. I know father is going to say no. I will go to my mother and talk to her and try to see if I can negotiate this analytical thinking. Creative thinking, emotionally blackmailing my mother. Is everybody with me or am I just talking alone over here on the screen?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
everybody
We are with
Yeah,
you.
we agree. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
right?
we are listening. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So yes, so that is creative thinking, thinking of some nice reasons to convince your mother. So we have it in us. All we need to do is create that lateral mindset to connect the dots. Because it's, guys, one thing that I have been telling to people over the years is that who we are personally transforms us as who we are professionally. But the barrier here is we create two different personalities. All of us. It's not about A particular person or B particular person. All of us try to do that. And we try to convince ourselves that personally I'm a different person, professionally I'm a different person. To be a great problem solver, I'm saying bring to table of who you are personally within the boundaries of professionalism. And you will see you will become an exceptional employee. That brings me to my next skill, social media smart, something that probably you guys will be able to tell me more about. Social media smarts obviously is one of the niche skills that everybody requires today. Again, going back to the same example, everybody is online today. Every single person is online today. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on Snapchat, and God knows we are on Twitter for that matter. Having the skills to network cleverly will give you the skills to understand your customers better, build better relationships, and advocate your brand. One best example for that today is LinkedIn. Do we all agree? When LinkedIn was launched, it was looked at as a purely professional platform for professionals to connect. And at a very nascent level, it was assumed and presumed it was assumed and presumed that LinkedIn was only for managers and leaders. Soon it changed and everybody is on LinkedIn today. And that is the best example of how people are advocating your brand on LinkedIn, how they are connecting with people, how they are networking with people, and also the greatest example of creating that deep retail experience, guys. Something that I was talking earlier also, tapping the emotional side of the customer, tapping the psychography of the customer. Now, how can you do that? Social media smart. Again, very quickly, anybody would like to share? How do you think sitting at your home can you develop this skill? Very quickly, if anybody can share in chat, in the interest of the time. No idea? Okay, great. No worries.
See the Facebook. Vaibhav says see the Facebook.
Okay, see the Facebook web of yes, indeed. Oh, now I'm getting some
Learn
responses.
what brands do online.
Oh yes, absolutely. We all are spending so much time on internet, guys. If we spend even 5 to 10 minutes of that internet time researching about the work that we are doing, and when I'm saying researching, I'm saying just generally scrolling through, just generally going through the latest information that is available on net. The internet is an ocean of knowledge, we all know it, but what you're doing in the internet is a game changer, right? Even if you can spend those 10 minutes to see what is happening in your industry, what are the latest news, how will it benefit you way later? Just having knowledge is having power, is what I believe. So that is the simplest thing. Understand, subscribe. There are so many webinars happening, there are so many podcasts happening, there are so many talks happening these days. Even if you can spend 20 minutes today, I think that will make a difference. That is how you can develop this skill. Which brings me to my next skill, design and merchandising talent. Something again that is very close to everybody who's present here. How has this skill changed is something that I would definitely like to discuss. There are deeper levels of design sophistication these days. So if you remember, I'll tell you my experience. There was this shop called A to Z. There was this shop called Akbar Ali's when I was a kid. And we used to go to different shops and different malls. After that, also, as I grew up, I saw many malls. But the memory of this Akbar Ali's during the Christmas times and the memories of this A to Z during Diwali time still remain with me. So whether we shop there or not, I would tell my parents to just take me there, just take a stroll in the shop, just see the vibe, the whole decoration, and the happy atmosphere going around in the shop. This was nothing but the deeper level of design sophistication. The only thing that has changed now and how we have evolved is we are tapping into various aspects of this design sophistication. So we are not just restricted to festivals now. Now we have devised a new festival which is called the discount festival. Am I making sense?
Yes.
And the discount festival goes on, guys. I mean, there's a discount for no apparent reason. There's an April Mela going on some site. There is a summer Mela going on some other site. There is some other no apparent reason huge discount going on some other site apart from the festivals. Do we agree on that?
Yes, very much.
So this is probably the new. How should I put it? It's a new way of celebrating retail and engaging customers. Is how I'd like to put it. But yes, that is the way how design has changed these days. So they'll put it in such a way where recently I was seeing Amazon. They have a spin and win festival going on. I don't know whatever it is, but yes, I also opted for that, right? And why they are doing it? Curated designs to emotionally tap customers. Simple. I'm sitting at home. I'm doing nothing right now. There is a website which is selling cosmetics, which I usually don't shop from. I shop from a different website, but they launched a gaming zone on a cosmetics website where there were different games, and I started going to that website just for the games. Eventually, I started buying from that website. This is an example of curated designs to emotionally tap customers. You know, people were sitting at home, they did not know what to do. They were shopping. If they were not shopping, they were tired of shopping also, because they were spending so much of time, guys. They were spending so much of time. There was so much happening around us. There was so much stress. A revolution happened and we were a part of it. Like Pranjali said, whether we liked or not, we were a part of it, and it just happened to us. So that is the reason tapping them emotionally became all the more important. So this is one skill that we all need to develop at whatever level you are in. Which brings me to the next skill, which is called resilience. Resilience. I'm talking about something that we all have developed in last year. We all have developed in last year. If you're seeing these 5 pillars: self-awareness, mindfulness, self-care, positive relationships, purpose. Just go back, rewind 2020, March 22 until March 22, 2021. We all have done all these 5 steps diligently, guys. Self-awareness. We did not know where we used to eat, what we used to eat. We never, me being a Mumbaikar, we did not mind eating at any particular eatery which was tasty, regardless of the hygiene factor. In Mumbai, we have a joke that we eat vitamin D. And I'm not talking about the scientific term, I'm talking about vitamin D. We have developed resistance to eat vitamin D, guys. So self-awareness is something that was missing all these years. Now we have done it in last year. We were suddenly awareness to an extent where suddenly, even if there's a headache, you would go to a doctor, take a pill, right? Suddenly you realize that you might be probably prone to a disease. Suddenly you realize that you might be a victim. Suddenly you realize that you exist, something that we had forgotten. And that is why the second pillar of the resilience is mindfulness. Mindfulness is, in simple terms to tell you, is a way of reflecting in your inner world to make peace with your outer world. A very famous monk said, what happens outside depends on what happened inside of you. So that's why the second pillar of resilience is mindfulness. So every time you're stressed sitting at home, how to develop this skill, every time you feel there's nothing in control, one simple mantra that mindfulness says is that surrender and say, yes, nothing is in my control. That makes your life a lot easier. That's your second pillar, guys. The third pillar is self-care. Self-awareness and self-care is very different. Self-awareness is, yes, I know that I can be prone to a certain pandemic. Yes, I can be prone to a certain infection. Yes, these are the measures. Self-care is actually taking those measures. And when I'm talking about self-care, again, as employees, even companies have now recognized, I'm talking about your physical and mental health both. Right? And if we achieve these 3 pillars, then we are developing positive relationships. We are in a happy mindset, we are in a better mindset, and we can create positive relationships both personally and professionally. And we don't have cases like a particular female who who became famous for discussing her personal relationships on a call with 101 people on a Zoom call, if you remember, who became the talk of the town. Right? Finally, the fifth pillar of resilience is purpose. Do I know what am I doing? I think this is one question that a lot of people are asking since last 2 years. They don't know where they are doing, where is their life going, where are they at, what do they want to do. Even at my job, at work, if I understand what is my purpose and I'm important, the most important thing, something that all employees need to understand, that you are an important pillar in the organization. Everybody is equally important. The very reason that company has hired you and is paying you is because you have a purpose in the company. When we achieve these 5 pillars, we develop the resilience. And I'll say we don't have to develop it. If we have survived the last year, all of us have resilience. Just apply it. It's something as simple as that. The next skill is comfort within ambiguity. Again, in connection with the previous skill, resilience, level headedness, presence of mind, and tenacity. 3 things. Adjusting in the VUCA world. VUCA is a very broader term, guys, but it's simple that there's a lot happening around. How do we adjust to it? Rather, what happens to me is not in my control, but my reaction to what happens to me is definitely in my control. And that is precisely finding comfort with ambiguity. A famous author, Eckhart Tolle, has written in his famous book, The Power of Now, about a particular monk who was told to meditate among 18 cats for a year's time. 18 cats, my friends. And he was told that if he can successfully meditate amongst 18 cats, then his master will accept him as his disciple. At the end of 1 year, he successfully did that. He went back to the master and asked him, how does that qualify me to be your best disciple? He said, if you can meditate amongst 18 cats and if you can go inside to such an extent that what's happening around does not bother you, and if you're finding comfort within that ambiguity, you have arrived. We all don't need to be monks, but yes, again, this is something that we have already done in last year. We have already found our comfort, we have already tried to adjust, but instead of trying to adjust, trying to find our comfort, trying to be happy and see the positive side is something that we need to develop. Explorers' minds, very important. We the trainings that used to happen, the peer support that we used to have, that guy who used to sit probably next to us, who probably we may have hated but used to provide us with a lot of knowledge, is now not present anymore, right? The guy who was present is not present anymore, and now I don't know who to probably refer to if I have a doubt. Who am I supposed to refer to? Who am I supposed to go to? And that is why I need to have my own growth mindset. I need to have a learner's attitude. I need to learn myself, and for that I need to go out of box. I need to find out different ways to educate myself, and for that I need to first understand that I need to be like an explorer, where I need to understand that I must seek knowledge. Knowledge will not come seeking me anymore. And very quickly, the next skill, which is very simple and very self-explanatory, collaborative approach. To have a collaborative approach today, especially today, we need open-mindedness because we are not seeing each other. Very important. We are not seeing our customers. Similarly, we are not seeing our friends. We are not seeing our colleagues. We need to be open-minded about communication. We need to be more adaptable. Even in the emails, when you write the emails, the tone of the email, probably a simple email which might say, can this be done by 6:30? Is there a different way to say that? Because I am not sitting in front of you. Probably if I can be more polite and refer to you by name and say, will you be able to manage to give this to me by 6:30? It makes a whole lot of a difference, right? I think I should not be talking more about this because it is a very self-explanatory. Unless and until we don't understand that we need to collaborate, we cannot function today. It is an innate need for all of us to be connected. And for that, we need to have emotionally intelligent communication. Now, what do I mean by emotionally intelligent communication? Again, this is a skill that all of us have. If you have kids at your home, if you have pets at your home, you know what emotionally intelligent connection is. Because there will be multiple scenarios where you're super angry and you cannot show the anger, but you want to give the lesson. When you're super frustrated, but you cannot show the frustration to the kid, but you still have to communicate your point. When you might be super surprised with the intelligence of a 5-year-old kid and you are flabbergasted and have no answer, but you still have to communicate. We all have been doing this. This is nothing but emotionally intelligent communication, guys. Time management.
Pranita, I think we have to stop because we are shooting over.
Yes,
So can I switch back to my section and we will let
absolutely.
everyone go? Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is
Okay.
exactly what I was about to suggest. Please go ahead.
Manvi, is it okay if we take them through one last section before we close?
Sure, sure.
All right. Cool. I'm quickly going to share my screen, guys. I know we are overshot already, but of course, skilling is so important, and which is why the more we spend time on skills, the better we appreciate why we need them. All right, the last section I have for you guys is how do you put all of the things that you have learned into practice? Because knowing is one thing, but unless and until you start putting them into practice, you'll not be able to reap the fruits. And I'm going to start with a very simple, easy to remember mantra. And if you remember your ABCDs from school days, I think you're almost there because you only need to remember your ABCDs. And your ABCDs are on your screen. A stands for agility, B stands for be responsible, C is for continuous learning, and D is for digital learning. I'm going to quickly take you through each so we understand better. We have been listening to this one story all through our childhood, which is about slow and steady win the race. I know if you know the story I'm talking about, it's about the hare and the tortoise. Now, I'm sure the hare and the tortoise did not stay in the VUCA world, for sure. They did not have to worry about technology, internet, or anything of that sort. However, we do. Today, we are staying in a day and age where technology is changing almost every day, and we need to stay in sync with it. Otherwise, we'll be obsolete and outdated before we know. So, the one question you need to ask yourself when it comes to agility is, am I changing and adapting every day? Now, there is a very interesting book called as Thank You for Being Late by Thomas Friedman. And in that, he plots technological change versus human brain's adaptability. As you can see from the left-hand side, human adaptability was much faster and higher than the rate of technological change. However, now if you see, we have bypassed that point and we are at a stage where technological change is so fast that we are not able to keep pace with it. And if you think that it's just our individual capacity to change that is lagging, look at where business change lies and look at where public policies lies. Essentially, we are just playing this game of catch up where we are trying to keep pace with what is happening out there. So here's the meat of the matter. How can you bring agility as a part of your overall everyday to-do? Remember, agility is not a single skill, but it's actually a combination of multiple skills. Some of the skills that Pranita outlined, from collaboration to ambiguity, flexibility, speed, all of these form a part of ambiguity. So for L&D and HR leaders in the group, even line managers, you can start with assessing where your team is on each of the 9 skills that are part of ambiguity, and then you make the right training available to the learners, because we're talking about taking ownership of the training in our own hands. You need to remember 3 things. You need to look back. This goes back to the self-reflection piece, that you need to see where you are at. You need to have probably a day in your time or maybe in a month's time where you look back upon the activities you've done and what you have learned from them, any improvement areas, and that is your looking back. Looking around is seeing what's happening around you. So similar to the webinar that you're attending today, you can also do the formal learning plans.
You need to unmute, Pranjali.
Unmute.
Unmute.
I think that's better.
Yeah,
Yes.
you need to unmute. We were not able to hear you.
Still can't hear you, Pranjali.
To understand. Be in the secret mantra is about being responsible. Now, here's one thing I know about being responsible, especially with your learning, is no one owes your learning or your growth to you. It is only you yourself that can bring it about. So for L&D, what you need to remember is that while you need to make all the necessary resources available, it could be in the form of digital learning content. So identifying what competencies and what skills you need for your team and making it available to your team. Also ensuring that they are available just in time of need. So that comes to the mobile apps point or the mobility point, where your users can use it just in time of learning. Also having the integration so that it seamlessly fits into the flow of work. And a best thing to do here is to invest in an AI LMS, because it continuously learns and it's able to make recommendations based on that. Finally, if you can have gamification tied into it, it just reinforces and recognizes learning and rewards it. For learners who are looking to be responsible, you just need to make time to invest your effort and energy into self-development. Remember, it is your own game and you're doing it for your own good. The third point on C is about continuous learning. Now, here's Carol Dweck. She's a researcher at Stanford, and she's very popularly known for her work in fixed mindset and growth mindset. Essentially, fixed mindset is a belief that we are born with X number of skills, talents, and we cannot really go beyond them. The growth mindset, on the other hand, says that while we are born with a finite number of skills and talents, there is always a possibility to add more through effort, teaching, and persistence. How can you do this? Now, first thing we need to understand that the education itself was a big lie. We were told that education is very finite, that somehow after our schooling, after our postgrad, we would be through with education. However, the shelf life of skills is dwindling every day, and the seismic changes in technology mean that we need to keep up with what is happening in the world outside. And this makes upskilling and reskilling a non-negotiable, because you don't just need to add new skills, you need to continuously polish your existing ones. So what L&D can do here is they can provide a supportive learning environment. They can ensure that the resources, going back to the slide I said, about having a digital learning platform and digital learning content available. You also need to make a commitment to learning, and the best way to show commitment is by having a learning culture that fosters this kind of learning and continuous learning within their team. And finally, you need to identify learning champions that can lead by example. They can be the torch bearers, and they can mentor and support your team as needed. Aspiring learners, you need to start with a goal. It could be a personal goal, it could be a professional goal, it could be a short-term goal, it could be a long-term goal. But once you've identified the goal, you then need to carve your learning path and take it from there. By the way, across the board, if you don't have any learning available from your business or your organization, you can just go online. LinkedIn, as Pranita mentioned, is great, not just for brand building, it's great for learning and development too. Finally, the last piece of the ABCD is digital learning. We've spoken a bit about this, but three things you need to keep in mind about digital learning is learning in the flow of work. So if you can recollect any time when you're working on a project, you got stuck and you needed help, and you just quickly pulled up some resource or went online and found something, and voila, your work was done. That was learning in the flow of work. Essentially, learning that happens while you're working or doing your work routine, that does not really expect you to pull yourself out from your work, but just happens seamlessly. This is where integrations also come in. Micro learning is when you are able to look at something in a very short nugget of information, because we are working in this economy there where the attention spans is reducing, number of distractions are increasing, not to mention the learner fatigue, the digital fatigue we are going through. So anything that is provided to you as a refresher training or a precursor to any kind of virtual training is great to set the context of what you will be understanding in the session hence. Collaborative learning goes back to a primitive years when we all sat across the fires and learned from each other. Again, in today's setup, learning is more of the water cooler moments that you have with your workers. Of course, you don't have the physical water cooler moments. What you then have is a very virtual kind of exchange of ideas and learning and experiences that helps us learn from one another. Now, this is again a very quick overview of what we had in store for you guys. Manvi, we are through with the presentation. Over to you.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions, we can just take about one or two because we've already overshot the time. Anything that you guys want to ask? The presenters. Uh, I think there is no question, but if there are any things, any questions which we get offline, we will definitely share with you. So thank you so much for this session, and it was very comprehensive, and few of the things that I have learned, which I always talk about it in my in my team and with my other colleagues, is that we have to take ownership of our learning, because we are right now in a hybrid workplace. We don't know when things will be normal, whether we will actually be going back to the physical classroom setting of learning. Learning has moved from a physical to a digital setup, and also it's openly available. There is so much that we are not able to cope up with the learning resources which are available. So we actually have to be take ownership, prioritize what you want to learn, and go with it, because there is so much which is expected, and the data, the information that you have shared, actually we cannot be the old version of ourselves that we have been all these years. We need to reinvent ourselves, and we need to learn new skills, new competencies to better adapt to this new world. So thank you so much for this, and I think we can close the session now. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Manvi, and everyone who made the time. It was a pleasure. You've been a very great audience, and I wish you all the very best. Manvi, that was a great summarization. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhvi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great evening.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.